What's going on, guys? I hope you're having a great day and welcome back to another video. Now, during the early stages of developing Return of the Jedi, George Lucas actually pitched a very different ending to what we saw in the movie. Some of you may not know this, but George actually pitched an ending where Luke removes Vader's helmet for him just before he dies, so that he can look upon his son with his own eyes, then actually puts the helmet on himself and says, "Now I am Vader. Now I will go and kill the fleet, and I will rule the universe." Lawrence Kasdan, the person who co-wrote Return of the Jedi, actually thought this was how the movie should have ended, but ultimately, because Star Wars is made for kids, George backed out of the idea due to it being too dark. Now, if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, and if you enjoyed today's video, it would be great if you could leave a like. In the movie, we do see Luke succumb to the dark side for a brief moment, when Vader taunts him about turning Leia to the dark side. Luke briefly let his emotions get the better of him, and as he did, he began to overpower Vader. In Legends, Luke actually became the resurrected Emperor's new apprentice. Luke had grown powerful with the Force at this stage, but was being pulled to the dark side. He was fearful of losing Leia and allies, so he decided to follow the source of the dark side energy to find a reborn Palpatine at the end of the path, who had transferred his essence into a clone body, just like in The Rise of Skywalker. Palpatine introduced Luke, like he did Anakin before him. Luke believed he could experience the dark side without fully embracing it, and agreed to join the Emperor with the view to just take him down from within. So maybe this alternative ending could have worked too. If we look at Luke's point of view at this moment, perhaps he thought by taking on the mantle of Vader, he would have the power to wipe out the rebels, end the conflict, and rule the galaxy in a different, less oppressive manner. It's worth noting that in this moment, Luke doesn't actually know how the fight is going on outside of that room. He could do it in an attempt to save his friends, Han, Leia and the others. After all, the Emperor did just reveal to him that they're basically walking into a trap. Anyway, so if Luke displayed the same mindset he did during his fight with Vader, and in Legends when he joined Palpatine, perhaps Luke thought by putting on Vader's mask, he'd be able to save his friends and take down the Empire from within, of what's left of it. One thing Luke probably wouldn't have counted on though, was that due to Vader's extremely dark past, it's more than likely his helmet would still have a strong connection to the dark side. As you know, in Star Wars, objects can have a connection to the dark side as well, and this would probably be enough to corrupt even the strongest of Jedis. Now, there's a few different paths we can take here. Luke could put on the mask of Vader and order the Empire to surrender, which they may or may not do. Or Luke could see that now he pretty much has control over the Empire, wearing Vader's helmet, which he doesn't realise is corrupting him by the second, could see the rebellion as a problem. Still, with the intention of using the Empire as a force for positive change through the galaxy, the rebellion stood in his way of doing that. This is the option I'm going to talk about today.
Luke, help me take this mask off.
But you'll die.
Nothing can stop that now. Just for once, let me look on you with my own eyes.
Luke places Vader's helmet on his head and takes a moment to become accustomed to it.
Now I am Darth Vader. Now I will go and kill the fleet and I will rule the universe.
Luke escapes the Death Star on a ship just before it blows up, as he did in the movie. Just this time, he's wearing Vader's helmet whilst doing so. The Death Star is destroyed, but the Empire still remains. The Rebellion have won the battle, but not yet won the war. The Rebels return to Endor to celebrate their victory. Everyone's there. Han, Leia, Chewie, the droids, everyone who was there in the movie was there, apart from Luke. As celebrations commenced on Endor and around the galaxy, Leia couldn't really settle in and enjoy the moment. She knew Luke was still alive as she could feel it through the Force, but she felt something wasn't quite right. Throughout the evening, she couldn't help but constantly catch herself looking up at the sky in the hope of seeing Luke's ship coming down to join them. Luke, during this time, is still inside of his ship, floating in the atmosphere above Endor. Luke isn't okay. Wearing Vader's helmet is beginning to take its toll on him already. He begins to sweat as if he had a fever. He is also beginning to hear voices faintly inside his head calling to him. Little does he know these voices are coming from some of the most powerful Sith Lords to have ever existed throughout the galaxy, communicating through the dark side of the Force. At first, Luke is strong and is successfully blocking these voices out. But as time goes on, the voices become louder and more consistent, almost driving Luke to the point of insanity in the space of a few hours. Eventually, Luke decides to take the mask off out of fear of what will happen to him. Luke raises his hands to the helmet to remove it, before his hands firmly pull themselves back down to his sides. It was like something was stopping Luke from removing it, almost like he was possessed. It wasn't the helmet that prevented Luke from taking it off, it was himself. Without Luke knowing, the darkness of the mask had already begun to penetrate the young Jedi, slowly corrupting him from the inside like a virus. Luke starts to experience flashbacks of what has come before, witnessing powers he had never known were possible, and without wearing the mask, he probably wouldn't have ever even known about them. Luke is reduced to a wreck, laying on the floor of his ship, unable to do anything because his mind was becoming so full with knowledge and power from the dark side, it felt as though it was going to explode. Suddenly, a calmness fell upon Luke. The flashbacks subsided, and the voices faded into the back of Luke's head. He was able to remove the helmet, only to find the Force ghost of Yoda standing at his side.
Skywalker.
Luke sits up and looks to the floor. Master Yoda. Yoda moves closer to Luke.
Got yourself a new teacher, have you,
Lost for words and slightly embarrassed, Luke replies. Master Yoda, I...
Once you go down this dark path, forever will it consume your destiny. Suffer your father's fate you will.
Luke looks Yoda in the eyes and with a stern face responds, How can I learn about the Force without anyone to show me? How can I pass on what I have learned when I have learned so little? Luke comes to his feet, looking down at the Jedi Master's Force ghost.
Failure is the greatest teacher. The dark side is not. A Jedi craves not these things.
If it wasn't for me, Han and Leia would be dead already. The anger starts to swell within Luke, having briefly experienced the power of the darkness. He only feels like Yoda is trying to hold him back, similar to how Anakin thought Obi-Wan was holding him back. The voices begin to pick up volume in Luke's head, and he begins to feel a strong pull to put the helmet back on, almost like an urge from deep within, an itch that he needs to scratch. Luke uses the Force to pull the mask into his hands and places it back on his head. This time, Luke has more control over himself. The darkness is beginning to settle within him. With the mask back on, Luke looks around the room through the red lenses of the mask, looking for Yoda, but he had vanished. Luke returns to the ship's controls and flies down to Endor, doubts starting to creep into his mind more and more by the second about the Jedi Order. Was he being treated different to the other Jedi who had came before, just because of who his father was? It's at this point Leia spots a ship entering the atmosphere of the moon, and leaves the celebrations to go and meet it. Han, concerned about Leia, follows her. Luke's ship lands and Han and Leia are patiently waiting outside for the door to open. When it does, the distinctive breathing of Vader's helmet can be heard. Startled, Han moves himself in front of Leia with his blaster raised. Out walks Luke from the smoke, wearing Vader's helmet. Han shouts, "Luke, it's you!" Followed by a relieved laugh, Luke doesn't reply.
What are you doing with that mask, kid?
A concerned look creeps upon Han and Leia's faces.
The Emperor and my father are gone. The Empire belongs to me now. I'm here to end this war. Lower your blaster, Han. I'm no threat to you.
Leia, who's moving herself to the side of Han rather than behind him, replies,
Why are you wearing that mask, Luke? That's not you. You're better than that. Take it off and come and join the celebrations.
Han, Leia, move out of my way. I'm here to end this and bring a new beginning. The Empire can be used for a force for good, but not whilst the rebels are constantly hunting them down.
Han and Leia refuse to move, although their stances show they are very intimidated at the moment. Leia, with tears starting to form in her eyes, replies,
Luke, don't do this. It's finished now.
This isn't you, kid. It's that mask. It's having some kind of effect on you.
Luke ignites his lightsaber. So that's where I am so far. I've got a lot of ideas of where this story can go from here. So if you'd like to see a part 2, let me know in the comments. I'm really looking forward to doing it. If you're new to the channel, remember to subscribe, and if you enjoyed today's video, please leave a like. Until the next one, I'll catch you in the next video. May the Force be with you.
Jedi.